Hey, what's up? John Van Dyne, Project New Man. Today, I'm out here in one of the most beautiful places, a good memory from my childhood, the Nature Center here in Boca. And today, what I want to talk about is what affects how your brain thinks. Have you ever wondered that? Have you ever wondered why at certain times you'll have different thoughts that you don't seem to be able to control, and your mind just keeps on going back to a particular person or a circumstance? Or maybe you'll find that at certain times your brain just can't think straight. You have this like lethargy or brain fog after you eat a lot of like macaroni or carbs, or after like lunch. Your brain just will feel like it's in like this hot goo that's trying to move, but it just can't get there. Or sometimes you'll just feel like you can't express yourself. You'll just feel like either you can't sing, you can't dance, your brain just won't come up with ideas, and you feel frozen and stuck. You just can't think, you can't flow. Why? Why do you constantly feel differently, and what can you do about it? Because it can be so frustrating when maybe you're trying to take a test and your brain freezes. What causes it to freeze? And how do you release those emotions, the anxieties, the fears, the traumas, so that you can perform at your best? Or what about this? You're at work and you had a dramatic circumstance happen with your boyfriend or your wife the night before, and it's just your brain keeps on going back there when you're at work trying to either socialize, talk with customers, or get work done. You can't enter flow. How do you get away from that? Or how do you even just have lunch and be able to think straight and perform at your best without feeling like your brain slows down? Or how do you get yourself to slow down a little bit and to think straight and to actually be yourself when you're around somebody who you think is pretty or hot? The opposite sex freezes you up. So today, let's talk about what determines what your brain is thinking, how you feel in your brain, and how to optimize your performance. Okay, so to do this, I want to outline a model so that you can imagine with me the factors that determine how you're feeling, your mood, and how good your brain is going to work. Okay? So at the top, imagine a big bubble. Okay? And in this big bubble, this is the most important things that determine your mood and how you think, right? So what's in here? This is your brain health. Okay? So if you had any head trauma, if you had some genetic disease in your brain, okay? So this can even range to micronutrient deficiencies. If you don't have enough choline, or vitamin B6, or vitamin D, or vitamin A, or zinc, your brain literally will start falling apart. It literally starts degenerating. You can have chronic diseases just because you don't have a certain micronutrient. And it's really common, actually. So actually taking a multivitamin can be one of the best things that you do for your brain, especially if you're deficient. You'll instantly feel more clear, less anxiety, less fear, better recall. Your brain will just work better. So start taking a multivitamin. I recommend Men's One. It's like $10 for like almost a year's supply. It's on Amazon. Just go get it. The other thing that is in this top rung is we can call it like your subconscious mind. So this is kind of like your soul. This is kind of like all your beliefs and your identity, right? So talking about how to change that is going to be big on changing how you perceive yourself, the world, and everything that happens to you when engaging with the outside world. Or even just sitting there. You can be creating stress and self-hatred or dissatisfaction just because you have a bad relationship with yourself, because your subconscious has been molded in that way. So that's another big part of understanding how to get your brain working better, is understanding how to shift your subconscious mind and how to let go of a lot of the scars that you have that we call trauma, which is built into your subconscious, that makes you believe a certain thing about yourself and forces you to behave in different ways that can oftentimes be more stressful and cut down on your brain power. So this is a vital part of trying to decrease your stress and optimize your brain. Really, to just be a whole person, you have to understand how to let go of these things. And sometimes we don't even know about what traumas we're holding on to which is a big problem. Like, if you don't know consciously, deep down, what you think about socializing or expressing interest in the opposite sex or public speaking, if you don't even understand that you might have traumas here, then you're just going to be completely in the dark. But once you start moving into this area where you're willing to examine yourself in many different situations, you'll come to the conclusion that in certain situations, you have traumas. You have places where you get triggered into feeling stress, and it's not nice. So once you're at that area, then it's time to move into how to release those traumas, how to heal yourself, how to create a new experience around that dreaded experience that you're afraid of now. And this is a big portion of what influences how you think, and what state you're going to be in, because you don't want to just be constantly pouring cortisol and stress hormone into your system just because you lost a certain amount of money, things didn't go well, or a person just said something to you, or maybe they didn't even say something to you. Maybe you just are ashamed of the way that you talk. You know, all of these things are determining a lot of your health as well as your mental health. So that's all on the top rung, okay? So everything in this top rung is going to be influencing what's below it, okay? So the circle below it, you can kind of like imagine a 3-tier snowman. So the body of the snowman now is all of the glands and organ systems in your body, right? So everything in the top rung is affecting everything in the middle rung, right? So for example, your subconscious identity of how good you think you are at giving speeches. Let's say you have to give a speech. You have that identity of who you think you are, and then based on if that's positive or negative, or how effective you think that you're going to be, based on, you know, your self-worth, etc., you will or will not get triggered by that and get afraid and dump all kinds of stress hormone into your system through these glands. Okay, so there's an example. Boom, self-image signals to your adrenal glands, create stress hormones. Stress hormones get dumped into your body, and now we can talk about the third rung of the brain snowman, is literally the chemicals and the peptides that your brain is soaking in that comes from these glands, okay? So now you see it. Brain, organs and glands, the chemical soup that your brain is swimming in. So what we want to do to optimize your ability to think and use your brain is give you tools so that you can manipulate the health of all 3 levels, right? So how is this different from how it's usually approached? Usually, let's say you have a problem with stress or anxiety. A lot of people will end up just taking something that addresses just that chemical. So they'll either take food supplements or a prescription drug, and what that does is it influences this third tier, right? The chemical soup that your brain is in. So boom, you pop the pill, you take the supplement, and boom, it changes how your brain is in that moment, right? So you're influencing like the ocean. It's like the ocean that your body and brain is swimming in. So you put like this chemical into that soup. So that's good. I'm not against that, as long as it doesn't have side effects, and you're educated on what side effects these drugs might have. But what if there's stuff going on in the other tiers? Like, what if there was something you can do about your endocrine health and your organ health? Like, for example, you've heard of chronic fatigue syndrome. You've heard of sympathetic dominance. Maybe you haven't. But you've heard of somebody being too stressed out and having too much stress. So what that does is it taxes all the organ systems, particularly your nerves, your brain, your pituitary gland, your adrenal glands, and it causes overload to these systems. Oh my God, it's you! Wow, what's up, man?
Here it is.
Yo, oh my God. Let me just finish up this video. I'm like about to finish. Oh my God, I didn't even know it was you for the longest time. Okay, so Where was I? I was talking about the overload to your system. Because you're so stressed out, the organ systems start getting overloaded. So what you can do too is give yourself therapeutics that will heal the organs. Like for example, your digestive system will be out of whack because you're so stressed out. So what you have to do is address that too. So in other words, the point that I want to start making is that when you have problems with your brain, like brain fog or performance fatigue, you're not thinking how you want. I want us to start thinking about treating at multiple different levels, right? So we're influencing the chemical soup that our brain is in, and then we're also taking care of our organs, right? So we're fixing our digestive system so that we won't have this lethargy created from a poor digestive system that will pour uh, weak sauce chemicals into your chemical soup, you know? So actually, a syndrome that happens is called GI depressive syndrome, which means people that have digestive issues actually start having depression issues. So this is just one example. The same thing can happen with your immune system. They call it chronic fatigue immunodeficiency syndrome, is where this system of your body is out of whack and is causing mental problems. So that's why it's important to address, even for just your mental health, you have to address different systems of your body because you can be getting problems from many different areas of your body. So we talk about balancing your nervous system, getting your digestion back on track, and getting your immunity back on track so that you can start creating these neuropeptides that will influence your brain so that your brain can work better. And if you neglect any of these one things, then you can be neglecting the area where you have the problem. So the last thing, of course, it can be coming from deep-seated traumas in your subconscious. That takes a little bit more of a sophisticated approach if you want to understand how well your brain is working, your mood states, and also in the testosterone program, we have an entire stage of the program committed to decreasing your stress, and a lot of times that comes down to changing your subconscious, releasing these traumas, because that's what's creating the stress. So that's it. I just wanted to introduce this idea that there's 3 different tiers to what determines how you think, how you feel, so that you can have a little bit more sophisticated approach to how you approach your mental health, your performance in the workplace, and how good you feel every day. So I'll be going into detail on each one of these things, all very interesting topics and all really practical things that you can do, down to just knowing what kind of herbs to take, what kind of practices to do to get rid of the dysfunctions that can be happening, again, in your chemical soup or in your organ systems or in your main command center, the nexus, the hatchery of where everything begins. So John Van Dyne, Project Newman. Like the video if you like the video. Subscribe if you want to stay up to date with all this life transformation material. And enjoy the rest of the day. I'll see you next time.